Hi, welcome. I'm Ricky. This is Eve. We're the tender trainers. We help subcontractors with their tendering, right? So basically, our goal is to help make this process as simple and successful as possible, so you can win those big contracts with less stress. We try and do this on a regular basis, don't we, Eve? So yeah, feel free, jump on, send us a message, DM us anything you'd be good to cover.
Yeah, so Wednesdays 11 a.m. we're generally on live, and definitely if you have any comments, questions about tendering, or where you're at with your subcontract business at the moment, concerns, drop us a DM, or even better, just comment on the live and we'll address it there and then.
Perfect. Cool. Shall we get into it?
Yes.
Okay, so this week's topic that we've chosen to talk about is profit and turnover and why both are really important. Okay, so we all know profit, that's why we're here at the end of the day, right? And it's absolutely true that it doesn't matter if you have a great turnover, if you're not turning a profit, you're not making money, you're losing money, and that's not sustainable, right?
Yeah, it's a really interesting place for us to play in around profit because, yes, that's true. Then you hear people say, oh, turnover is vanity and profit sanity.
Yeah,
Which
heard that.
is true, but I just feel like there's a
Yeah.
caveat there with that one.
I think there's a but in there as well. And the but is, while they are separate, they're actually related, right? Why are they related? It's because we add it basically in simple terms, it's because we add OH&P to our tenders.
What's OH&P?
The OH bit is your overheads, right? And the profit bit is your profit. So you add 1% at the end, your overheads is related to your turnover. So the proportion of your overheads and your turnover, how they're proportioned, affects your profit. So while profit is there as one single bit, turnover affects your overhead, meaning that if you have a bigger turnover, it actually will help your profit. It will make the profit bit easier.
What? Correct. And I think next time maybe we need to have a little Excel and just actually show you. Sometimes it's hard to follow. Even for me, I was like, hang on, what? So I think sometimes, maybe next time we'll just do a little visual. But I guess what you're saying there, Ricky, and I don't want to misconstrue it, often we do add something in tendering called overheads and profit, and it's a percentage. Now, when we tender and when we're working with clients, we're always like, scrap that. What exactly are your overheads? What's the actual cost? Let's drill into that. What's your actual profit on this project? Let's drill into that. Let's start working out how you're going to track this and know at the end, or, along the way, not just at the end, how much profit you're actually making, etc. So while it is treated in the business as one percentage that you put on, we're not comfortable with that. There's not enough clarity around that. Almost every single client that we work with at some point is like, do you know what? I don't know what profit I'm making per job.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of vagueness around that. And so that's why, in a way, it is true, turnover is vanity and profit sanity. Because it's easy to go, I'm making $1 million, I'm making $2 million, I'm making $3 million, I'm making 300,000, whatever it is in my business, and not actually be clear on whether you're making profit. And that does cause people a lot of issues, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're not kind of poo-pooing that. That's a real and genuine problem that we work with our clients every day to get them closer to understanding what their profit is and tracking it over the project. Because the conversation that we have all the time is that concern around getting to the end of a project, not knowing if you've actually made money, and how much worry that can cause over the course of the project. So knowing from the start, tracking it, knowing how to claw it back if costs are getting out of control, or there's variations to be put in, or whatever the case is, so you can feel really comfortable at the final account meeting that you know where you are, where you need to be, and obviously that you're walking out having made money. So with that statement then, Ricky, I guess when they say turnovers, vanity, profit, sanity. I get it from that perspective. Like I get it that you can easily be turning over multi-mils and not be making profit easy in construction. So it's super important. But almost I feel like that can sometimes limit our clients or limit people when they get in that space, because what you're saying there is turnover is really important as well.
Yeah, it is.
And why?
Well, at the end of the day, we have overheads, right, that we need to recover. And if you're a small company, one of your overheads, I'm working with companies that are pretty new at the moment. They have two members of their team, two directors that are working as overheads as part of that team. Say they're getting paid, 50 grand each. That's 100 grand worth of overheads that you need to recover to pay for that, right? That might not be directly repaid to a project. This is just an example.
Mm-hmm.
If your turnover is quite small, if it's 200 grand, half of that turnover is actually to recover the overheads, which means you need to add quite a lot of money on top of your costs to recover that. And to be competitive, you probably have to lower your profit.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, if your turnover is £2 million, that 100K is quite easily recovered, and more would be go into the P portion, the profit portion, quite easily, and you'd still be competitive. That's kind of the relationship that I'm talking about. I hope that makes a little bit more sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense. And there's you can start playing at different levels when you've got that turnover, because you can start to play with those overheads. So it may mean that you have an amazing site manager who starts to oversee your 2 or 3 sites or whatever it is, and feed and report into you, and take some of that, or contracts manager, however you want to call it, starts to take away some of that. Honestly, I think so many of our clients, they get to around the £1 million, £2 million mark, and they are the contracts manager. Do you know what I'm saying? They're the ones overseeing, dealing with the client relationship, dealing with anything that comes up on site as well. So they're kind of quasi site managers, even though often they'll have site managers on site, or a foreman, or like a ganger, or however they're terming it, a supervisor. But they're kind of wearing that almost that contracts management type hat. So they'll be on site often 3-4 days a week, and then they'll often be trying to tender in the evenings and keep things going. Like they're very much, and so the point, and a lot of the time we work with this both in pipeline to growth and with our one-to-one, which often is kind of multi-mil, our multi-mil turnover clients. But you kind of start to get to this point where you've got to be employing people so you can step up, so you can go for larger projects, so you can have more of an overview on it, so you can be sitting in the client meetings, playing on the metaphorical golf course with, old mate Joe Blogg that you used to work with 5-6 years ago, who now is in the position to give you the next big contract, thinking about growth. And so for our clients to be in that position, you've got to have a certain amount of turnover so that you can be paying that really great contracts manager. You can be paying, that estimator / QS, or whatever the position is that you need to start stepping up out of, so that they can jump in and do those bits for you, and so that you can grow. So I say turnover is a growth perspective. So, but that's turnover, and that's kind of money to reinvest into the business. So
definitely.
There's a little crossover, but
I think so. And as it's further to what you're saying, it's not sustainable for one person, like the director, to do everything as you grow. Eventually you get to a point where you need help, or you remain stagnant.
So. Do you know what's really interesting about what you said there as well? You know how you're talking about kind of like directors' salaries?
Yep.
I think a lot of people think of that as profit. So do you want to break that down?
Yeah, in accounting, that's how we do it, don't we? The director pays himself a small wage, and you pay yourself dividends out of the profit. So yes, that is true to a sense from an accounting purpose. But when you're pricing, that's not the way that you should be thinking of it. You should be thinking of it as an overhead, or directly a cost attributed to a project. So for example, you're recovering your wage directly from the project, from being a supervisor or on the tools, or you're recovering it through your overheads. You should not be recovering it through your profit when you price. But yes, from an accounting purpose, that's what happens. You pay yourself from the profit of dividends. But you miss your beat if you don't, if you're trying to calculate it that way.
What's the beat
you're
that
estimating?
you miss?
Well, we need to know what we want to pay ourselves, and we need to recover it through our pricing and our estimating, not through our profit. So when we estimate it, we recover it that way, not through our profit, even though accounting ways we pay ourselves that way.
Yeah. And the reason is
confusing, I know, but
no, but what's the reason?
we need to make sure we're paying ourselves and we're accounting for our overheads correctly.
Yeah, basically, if you need a figure to live and you're not including that in your estimate, and you're going, well, when I get profit, which you're only going to be 1,000% certain of that at final account, then I'll think about paying myself. Now, if you're in a position to do that, that's great. But the reality is most of us need to be able to pay ourselves a wage. So
Absolutely.
You've got to include that as an overhead as part of your costs. But
to make sure that there's enough in there in your pricing that you're paying yourself and have an allowance for profit as well.
Exactly.
That's the key.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of the time, what I see all the time with our clients is almost an idea that that's it. Like the profit is just their pot of kind of salary. Like that's what happens with it. But what we're saying is profit can be used to reinvest.
Yes.
Profit can be used to grow and step up.
Yep.
Like profit is your little growth burner, isn't it? It's what's going to come next.
Profit is retained profit. That's what we should be aiming for. What's left over after we've paid for everything. And then it's your choice what you do with that, whether you pay yourself more than you wanted or you reinvest it in the business.
Buy a
Tesla. Exactly.
We would obviously say like reinvest in the business, guys.
Absolutely.
That's our perspective on things.
Keep it for a rainy day.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. I think we're pretty much done, Ricky. But
so you go first.
I was just going to say it's a really great topic. I mean, this stuff around profit, this is our bread and butter. This is what we're doing with our clients all the time. And it also feeds into the other thing that we're doing, which is often putting in the right processes, procedures, structure in place that our clients can start to kind of step up out of those tasks that they're currently doing, keeping themselves locked in on site and be able to grow and grow, which is really exciting and rewarding. And I mean, we haven't touched on it, but we do a lot around cash flow with our clients as well, cash flow forecasting, helping them to feel confident when they take a tender on that. If they win the work, that they'll know what's happening with the cash, with the money, and how they're funding it, because there is a bit of funding that tends to happen up front, as we know, in construction, which is not necessarily super fair, but that's a topic for another day. So all of these bits is just part of the overall that we're doing with our clients. We're not just saying, let's go and win you some work. We're saying we're building sustainable pipeline for them and with them.
Absolutely.
And that's, I think, the exciting part.
Definitely. And I think further to what this topic was we talked about today, we really should be considering both turnover and profit as signs of a healthy, sustainable company, not just one or the other. We really do need to be thinking of both. And we need to be aiming for continual improvement of both. So profit increasing, turnover increasing each year and continually improving. Because if we start dropping on one or the other, it does affect your company and your sustainability.
Definitely. I'm starting to wonder if we should rebrand, Ricky, because I'm thinking we're the tender trainers, but so much what we do is actual business growth. It's structure. We do actually quite a bit around delivery. So but anyway, yeah, perfect. So if any of this sounds like you and you're thinking, I want to grow, I want more turnover, I need to sort my profit out, don't know what my profit margin is. I want to feel really comfortable and confident in my tendering process. Like I want to go for tenders and know that I've covered everything off, that I've thought about risk. Or you're really looking to grow this year and you kind of don't know what your next steps are. Reach out to me or Ricky, drop us a message in the DMs. We are open to chat. We've got several different ways that you can work with us. Our Pipeline to Growth community, which is a 12-month group mentoring experience, has just kicked off recently. So love to speak with you about that. But yeah, drop us a message and we can see if we might be a fit for working together.
Cool. I think we can wrap it up then.
We're done. Okay.
Perfect. Cheers.
All right.
See you
Ciao.
next time.
Bye.